my wreath base where we're going to be working on it right here to create our design. And I want one tail to be very dramatic. I want it to pull the eye down with that dramatic flowing greenery. So I'm going to start with creating the tail first. So this is a nice little burlap, and I'm just going to take and fold it in half and then dovetail it. So we kind of get a dovetail rocking. And then I'm going to let this flow way down. So generally on this type of wreath, I would, you know, only have like a 16-inch tail. We're going to go about 20. So incredible drama on the length of the tail. Okay, so just hold that in your hand here. And we're going to just kind of scrunch it up and make a twist. And then I'm going to make just a 3-loop bow where the loops are about 5 inches. And I'll just scrunch them up and twist them. And there's 2. And you get them equal on each side. Now, if you're not comfortable and you don't want the loopy kind of flowy bow, just stick with 2 if you want it more neat and clean. We're going to make it a little more flowy. So I'm going to twist that one, and we're going to make the next one just kind of come out of the center and just be like a little more loopy, okay, and flowy. All right, so when I tie my cable tie, I've got to grab all 3 of these to hold this tight. And then keep this loop right here. We're going to cut it about half the size of our other loop. Not loop, the tail we made already. Okay, so come in with your cable tie. They don't have to be green. We're going to cover all this up in just a second. So bring that down and get some tension on it. And then I am going to fluff these pieces up. See how I am making sure they're equal, fluffing them up. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful brown. Now I'm going to come to the back. And, oh, I can't cut it yet. We got to add a cable tie back there. This is the cable tie that's going to allow us to attach it to the wreath. I'm going to go over here and get this tighter, trim that off, and you're perfect with your 3 loops. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and let's get that next tail figured out. If this is the length on our first tail, I'm going to go 1/2 to 3/4. Okay? Cut this. And then just fold it in half. And then just trim it down. And you've created a really nice dovetail, just like that. Isn't that cute? So you've got the dovetail tails, you've got the 3 loops. We're good to go. We've got that rustic feel. So put that off to the side. The last thing we want to do is we have that green, or you'll have whatever color cable tie you have in the middle. We're going to camouflage that with a little ribbon down the center. So I just cut a little strip here. Doesn't have to be too long, but I usually like about 10 inches. And then we will fold this and have it go right down the middle. Okay? Come on down here. And then when you put that in the middle, it really cleans it up. Now let's come in. We're going to start with the first part of our kit, and that's going to be put our greenery in. So we got 2 different greeneries that come in the kit. We've got this one that's nice and flowy. And then we have this one that is neutral and spiky, and it's going to work to kind of create a beautiful flow. So let's go in here. I'm going to cut a couple pieces off this to start shaping out our base. And get a couple of beautiful flowy pieces. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Let me scoot this up, and let's work on the area that's going to flow down first, okay? So I'm going to put this in. I know I want my bow about here. So I'm going to go just a little bit higher than that, and what we can even do is cut a little of this off, and we'll use that separate. I'm going to put this first piece in. Dip it in your glue pot and just give that a swirl. And you're going to see I'm going to slide that right into the wreath base. So number 1 piece is going on right there. Now, if that's our longest piece, we're going to stack around it and create a cluster, but I want to make sure when I'm doing that I have a long piece and the other clusters around it are shorter, so that I don't have this big glob of length. I'm kind of bridging that gap between there. So I'm going to cut this one off, and you're going to have this one, and I'm going to measure how long. Okay, I want it to go up kind of right beside it, so that'll go in right next to it. I'm going to put some glue on here. The reason I'm bringing the glue to this is it's not a strong wire there, so what's going to happen is if you dip it right in, you might melt it. Now you are going to need a little Spanish moss, but anytime I've got a little space that I need to fill to kind of sandwich in that glue, that's when I'm going to use my Spanish moss, or to hide my glue. Okay, that's a normal technique I do, you guys. So if you've been around, you know I'm going to use my Spanish moss. Okay, let's go on the other side now. We're going to do that same. We're going to keep going beside this flowing cluster we have, but we want to make it a little shorter. So this time I want to keep some of that up there, and I'm going to go a little bit shorter, like right here. And let's take and put these together this time and make a little fatter cluster. And we'll put it in where it's a little shorter. Now you see how we've got the fullness to the skinniness here at the bottom? That's what we're going for. So when you're designing, make sure you're thinking about all the details in each piece of placement. As you get a more experienced designer, if you're in design school and I start teaching you and you become a student, you're going to learn like the principles of why we're doing things and why we're clustering them up like this and what look that gives us in the end. Because it's my belief with more dimension, more depth, you're going to be able to have a more quality finished design, and it will never look like you just shove stuff in your wreath, that the placement is just so pretty and spot on. So, isn't that gorgeous? So we got a great flow coming down. Okay, now I want to bring a little of this color to the upper parts of the wreath too. Knowing this is floppy, we have to kind of think about that when we put it in. So many people are terrified of working with this type of greenery because it's got to hang. You feel comfortable using it in a Christmas tree or in decor, but in a wreath you're intimidated by it. But I'm going to show you how to work with it, and we're going to cluster it right now so you won't be. So what I want you to do is take this, and when you do, you're going to have a firmer piece here. So this piece right here will sit up. So take and cut that off. You can probably get one little piece with it, and look. Oh, let me get this bottom piece off too. Okay, so this part can help you bring that color to the more up parts in the design. So you can see, we'll keep that one aside, and then we'll find one more like that usually in a bush. Is this one? These are hanging here. There's another one right here. And this one will be a little shorter, but I'll cut that too. Okay, so now that you've done that, take a couple of these and just cluster them also shorter. Cut them into little clusters. And they'll hang down a little, but we'll anchor them by having a piece that goes up next to it. And you see how I created my own little cluster? And that's important because now, yes, it's going to flow off to the side. It's going to give it that flow, but it's not just hanging down from way at the top of the wreath. Okay, so now we're leaving a section open for the bow right here. Design school, we're going to call that the bow zone, the transition point. And I'm going to go ahead and leave a little space, but then I'm going to push this in to the wreath base. Okay, and then the next thing I want to do is come in with a little Spanish moss there. So Spanish moss does not come with the kit, but if you do not have some, we do sell it in our shop. Okay, now let's bring another piece up here to the top. This is a perfect place for it to hang down because that's the flow of the wreath there. Like, it's got that curve. So don't be intimidated now. Let that curvy part work for you. It's going to work its magic. So take a nice flowy one, take a more rigid one, and together we're going to sandwich those up, make our own little cluster, and put them up here higher. Okay, and we'll just put that in right here. Okay, so that's coming on the top of the design. Oh yeah, let that just flow over. So you can see it's a real natural vibe we got going so far. It's just, it's going to be this really cool boho, fun, just natural look. I'm excited about it. Okay, now that we got those pieces in, that's a good start. I still have pieces left. We're going to hold on to these because we'll be wanting to fill in with this other places. And if you get this kit, I imagine you probably will have a few extra to work with. Now, grab your regular greenery. This is a fishtail fern, one of my absolute favorites. The way you want to work with it is we don't need it quite this long for our designs. We can push these up. Okay, we're just pushing them right up to here. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're going to trim them off to just a couple of inch stems. So you can just come in there and cowabunga them off. Right like that. Now, take this in, and we're going to work these around these clusters we already have in. Okay, because they look beautiful how they are. So come right here to the bow zone, and let's stay up above that transition point and get these in. Oh, beautiful. One to the outside, one to the inside. Make sure you're getting plenty of glue on each stem. We want to stagger these. Now I want to come up above We'll bring in one up above, kind of flowing in between here and there, kind of transitioning to this part. You can see the shape starting to form. Beautiful. Now let's come in with one right next to, maybe on the outside of that cluster on the top. I'm going to give that a little bend. Look at this. We're going to come up and above. Get a good amount of glue on it. We're popping this right in here. I'm obsessed with this color green on here. It's so pretty. Now we got a good start. Let's work some at the bottom too, okay? We're going to bring in some here around that trailing section. So I'm going to move it up a little bit. Let's put some in here. I hope you're not intimidated by flowing greenery and you play with it a little bit, because I think you'll be surprised how it's not as scary as it seems, and it gives your pieces a lot of drama. If you want drama, it's the good drama, y'all. It is the good drama. Okay, so we've done what we've greened out our base. We've got a great start. I've got this left. I've got some of the other greenery left. So I'm got an excellent start. Now it's time to put in our beautiful flowers. So we've got our mini boho roses, and then we've got our gorgeous, gorgeous ranunculus. Okay, and between the two of those, that's what we're going to need to make this thing look amazing. Let's cut up bigger blooms first, and we'll cut those up. These in first. Now, I don't mind this greenery. You can take it off if you want, or you can push it up by the head, but don't leave it way down the stem. That's like a waste of it. You want it up near the top of the head, and then we can use it. It's got a beautiful kind of muted lime green, which is nice. So those frame out those heads really beautifully, and we do not need long stems on these, so just go like 4 inches and work fine. Okay, and we're going to cut all these blooms off. Now, depending how much floral you want on yours, you could back off, just have a cluster or two, but you know. Hey, bloomerinos, we gotta have all the blooms. If I'm doing it, we cannot miss these blooms. All right, let's come in with our first cluster. So I'm going to start up into this space between those two right there. We'll come with our first beautiful peony, and make sure you're going into the wreath base and give that head a bend. See how pretty that is right there? Gorgeous. Now let's come in a little bit lower beside it. Kind of stagger that placement. And the nice thing about these muted type florals that we're doing for Mother's Day, because the colors aren't super duper bright, we can take these into the fall season as well. If we put them in our Etsy shop and they don't sell, the tones being muted gives you more opportunity to sell them. Now this section here where we did not put the any of the purple and it's this mauve-y kind of color greenery, we have a little space there, so we're going to have another little cluster in there. So take a look at your heads. They're pretty identical, but if you had one you felt was a little smaller, it would be cute to put like a little smaller one there paired with a big one. And I have this big one, and then I'm going to put one with like a little bud on it. Okay, so I'm going to put that one up kind of facing this way. Now grab a little moss, cover up that greenery. Not the greenery, cover up the glue if you see it. Use it like greenery. Now here's a bud, and that bud can go right behind it. A little bit shorter on this stem. And give that a bend. Now I'm going to load that up with glue, and we're going to go right behind it. So cute. Pop her in. And we got a nice little cluster. Let's go in and cover up the moss on that glue. We'll keep a little moss there. Oh yeah. And bend those heads forward just a little so they have some motion. Now we need to work below the bow where the bow is going to go in. So I'm going to come down here, and this is going to kind of lay on top of that greenery. So you might be asking yourself, Klee, why are we not putting like more floral in that section? And that's because that's where the bow is going to go. So we want to utilize that space to not waste as much floral. We will come and add a few pieces in later, but we don't want to waste any. If you're getting glue screens off your glue pot, make sure you take and wrap it around your dowel in there before you pull it out. So that will help have less glue strings. Just bring it around. And I'm going to come right in down here with my second one. So when I put one, I put another, and then I'm going to put my little bud right here. Gosh, this is so pretty together. I'm loving this. Putting my third one in right below. I can see a little glue there. I'm going to hit that with moss. And even if it's kind of in the background, I want to make sure my work looks really clean to my end user, my buyer. I want it to look really nice and neat. Okay, looky. It's turning out cute so far. What do you think? You could do this? So, totally. Now, let's get the bow in. So I'm going to grab our bow, and we're going to pop it in our design. Just cut off our cable tie here. And we got our 3-loop bow we just made by hand. And what you want to do is think about, if I lay it here, think about the placement of the tail. And I like the idea of that tail kind of running in front of these florals. You can also, if you made it the opposite way, you could have made the long tail on the left, okay? And then it would run on the outside. So depending which way you want the tail to be, you leave it long on the right or the left. Okay, now time to put the bow in. All right. Y'all, make sure you let us know if you want to grab the whole kit for this. We've got a kit available. We'll come back and put the link in the comments. If you're watching this at a weird time and you need an immediate response, all you need to do is text us kit and we'll send you the link to all the kits. Look at the drama. So pretty. But we're not done. This kit also comes with these gorgeous little boho roses. Do not sleep on these. These have a cute little baby's breath in there that coordinates with it all. Oh my gosh, so cute. So what I want to do is cut these off. And so one of the things we use in wreath making that I teach in design school is filler flowers. So this is going to work like our filler flower. Basically what a filler flower is a smaller head, a filler color that helps distribute this color more around and kind of polish out your piece. Okay, so I'm ready to put these in. And we're going to start right here in that open area above the bow, where we went right between the two clusters of floral. We're going to put one in there. Just push that right in. You don't want it to go through the back, but right in. Oh, perfect. Now let's have, I need to twirl my glue off better. See how that filled in nicely and transitioned really pretty? That's great. Then my second one, I'm going to use more down here beside the ribbon in the middle. So grab that and give it a twirl. We'll bring that right into here. Y'all, if we are just meeting for the first time, absolutely welcome. Welcome to our channel, and I hope you're not a stranger. You come back more. If you're wherever you're watching this, please make sure you like and subscribe and follow, because I love to teach you how to design, and we'd love to have you in our class one day so you can make beautiful things like this and know why we're putting everything everywhere and reproduce your own gorgeous pieces. Okay, I just pushed that little piece in there, and you have a few little pieces left, but I want you to see how dramatic and pretty that is flowing down. Isn't that pretty? I love that ribbon coming this way too. Now, if you wanted to, like, let's bridge the gap a little bit between these two with a little more drama. I think that would be so much fun. Let's put a little bit in there. And we're going to grab a little of this one right here, the long one, and pop a few more in. Just kind of coming down and around the bow. And I think we have done it. Okay, let me put them in. We're going to put these two in here. And then just bring it down just a little bit, right under here. So we have a little bit more of that greenery, kind of a little more dramatic, kind of coming down the bottom. Isn't that beautiful?